Okay. All right, let me share my screen. All right, so the item right below call to order is roll call. Our secretary will dispense roll call as we go. Moving on to approval of the minutes. I do have those up here. Let's see. You all should have received them via email earlier this weekend. Were there any concerns or questions about them? No? Okay. In that case, I entertain a motion to vote to approve last week's minutes. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand, do a raise hand emoji. Any abstentions? Raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any nays? Raise your hand or do a different emoji. Okay. Last week's emoji or last week's minutes are approved. I apologize. Okay. Will you guys please lower your hands on Zoom? Thank you. Going back to the agenda here. Is anyone here for open forum? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move right along to speakers podium. We have a variety of important guests tonight that we're glad to have here. First up, we have Dean Chris Wimberge from the Souls College of Business. He's here to give us a brief introduction of himself as he was recently named Dean and to tell us sort of some of the plans he has for the College of Business. So let me get your PowerPoint up, Dean, and I'll give you the second microphone. There you go.
Thank you, everybody, for hosting me here as part of the SGA. It's really an opportunity for me to not only introduce myself, but as KC mentioned, also share some of the initiatives that are ongoing, as well as some future plans, perhaps, of where I see the Souls College of Business. But before I go there, it's amazing how young men and young women transform compared to when they take an 8 o'clock morning class to now they're sitting in SGA meeting. I'm looking there and I barely recognize Mr. Manhattan compared to how he dressed. He's in my 8 o'clock morning class in this exact same spot as well. That being said, just so good afternoon, good evening to everybody. If I can go to the next slide, I'll manipulate it myself. So this is a little bit about myself. And again, I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because Casey told me I have about 15 minutes. So I'm going to try to go relatively fast. As you can hear from my accent, some people, anybody from Louisiana here? No? So I could say this is a Cajun accent, but I would be lying if I did. So I'm a native Belgian. I speak a number of different languages. My native tongue is Dutch, Flemish, more specifically, which is a Dutch slang, I guess. And so that's the accent that you hear. And so that's where my roots lie. I'm not a career educator. That's either for good or for worse, one or the other, depending on who you talk to. But I spent nearly 20 years in industry. And I first moved to the United States. I moved to Washington, D.C. And I started working for a defense contractor, predominantly in international sales and marketing, and did that for about 20 years, both here in the United States as well as abroad. Then at a later age, and after some professional events were happening, I decided to go back to school and pursue my doctorate degree. And so I did so and obtained my doctorate degree in 2009. And after a few years, ended up here in UT Tyler in 2010. I joined UT Tyler as an assistant marketing professor. And after about 4 years, I was asked to chair the Department of Management and Marketing. And so I've done so for the last 7.5, 8 years almost. And I still continue to this semester to function also as a department chair while we're searching for a replacement in that position. In May 2020, through certain events happened and a prior dean decided to move on to greener pastures. I was asked to step in the role of an interim dean for the Souls College of Business. And so I stepped in as an interim dean in May of 2020. After which, obviously, just most recently, I decided to throw my name in the hat as well to become the permanent dean of the Souls College of Business. And so I was appointed after a nationwide search. I was appointed permanent dean in just recently in January. Now, a little bit after talking a little bit about myself, let's talk a little bit about the Souls College of Business and where I see us going. And I put behind me here a draft of our vision. And this is a draft because obviously a vision and mission and a strategic plan for a academic unit needs to dovetail with the strategic plan for the university. And I think you'll hear a lot more about that here from our next speaker. However, we have started conversations with faculty. We're starting conversation with advisory council members, also of the Souls College of Business. And this is a preliminary draft of a vision statement for the college. And you can read it here on the slides. The Souls College of Business will be a recognized leader in developing talent and knowledge in the East Texas region and beyond. And so why that vision? Well, there's twofold reason as I see it. Number one, we want to enhance the reputation and the brand of UT Tyler and the Souls College of Business. That benefits everybody, every stakeholder, whether it's a student, whether it's a community member, we all benefit from enhancing the brand of the Souls College of Business and UT Tyler. And then number two, as we enhance the brand of the University of Texas at Tyler, as well as the Souls College of Business, we have a larger impact on our community. And so ultimately, that's what the vision statement is all about. So now that we know the how, let's talk a little, or the why, let's talk a little bit about the how we're going to accomplish that. Number one of the areas, or one of the ways that we're going to accomplish that is to make sure that we add to our academic programs. Secondly, not only are we planning on adding to our academic programs, we also, as a college, anticipate and hope to be more entrepreneurial, specifically with our auxiliaries. What do I mean with our auxiliaries? Well, within the Souls College of Business, we have a number of centers. The Hibbs Institute is one. Hibbs Institute for Business and Economic Research is one of our centers. We hope to have a larger impact, to be more entrepreneurial, to serve the community better. And so we hope to execute that moving forward. We have the East Texas Entrepreneurship Center, which was created not too long ago and is really trying to create an environment both within the university and outside of the university in the community to encourage entrepreneurship. And so we're hoping that through the East Texas Entrepreneurship Center, we encourage entrepreneurship, we can have a larger impact and move forward with them as well. We also have, many of you might not know, we also have the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center in Longview is a part of the Souls College of Business. The Small Business Development Center has an amazing impact on a multi-county area. They consult for people who want to start businesses or grow their business and literally allow entrepreneurs to have access to capital that maybe otherwise they couldn't, which directly impacts, obviously, business creation, employment creation, and growth in our area. So we hope that by being more entrepreneurial with those auxiliaries, we can also achieve our vision. And then finally, obviously, we all know that we have a medical school coming. But what a lot of people don't know is that within the Souls College of Business, we already are collaborating with our medical community. We have an online MBA program that has a healthcare management specialization that was just recently ranked in the top 100 programs of US News and World Report for online MBA programs. That may not sound like much, but if you consider that since the COVID pandemic, not all the big boys now are playing in that space, to maintain our position as one of the top 100 online MBA programs, that's an achievement. And so we want to not only continue to play a role in that space, but we want to expand our healthcare portfolio. So I've just recently, actually this morning, met with our new dean for the medical school. And so we're going to collaborate, hopefully in the future, to ensure that medical professionals get some form of business education that helps them be successful in their professions. We also hope to bring online a certificate, a healthcare analytics certificate that will help serve our medical community today. So those three areas is what we are focusing on in order to achieve our vision. So let's dig a little deeper. Let's first talk about academic programs. So we're not just going to create academic programs for the sake of academic programs, right? They need to meet certain criteria. We're going to make sure that as we create new academic programs, that they're in demand, that they're market driven, that you guys can get jobs as you pursue these additional degrees. I also want to make sure that they're strategic, that they meet a need, that they position the university and the Souls College of Business, that they're differentiating for us and make a difference. Obviously, we'll always look for opportunities. I know that our chancellor for the system recently met at the White House, where they had a conversation that there was a need to graduate more students with cybersecurity skill set. We heard that and we're acting on it, which you'll later hear. Obviously, we also want to collaborate within the university and with other partners outside of the university. That's critical as well. We want to make sure we don't stick in our silo and that we go beyond our silos of the college and collaborate with other colleges. And so let me give you some examples of what we have already done. So at the undergraduate level, we are exploring and have proposed to our academic affairs leadership a new Bachelor of Science degree in compliance and diversity. That's under consideration currently, right? It's an area of interest. It's an area of professional growth. It's an area of importance for the business community and others. And so we are hoping to be the first one in the UT system. There's no such thing within the UT system. There's nowhere in any of the UT institutions a Bachelor of Science in compliance and diversity. We hope to be the first one. In addition, I don't know if any of you have seen it as you walk through the first floor here in this building, we have an esports lab here that I've invested in as an interim dean and continue to do so as a dean. We're exploring adding a gaming track to go out to our computer science degree. And so we are working on that currently. That's not just a pipe dream. We have faculty that are collaborating and putting curriculum together that they can bring to academic affairs leadership. And then in addition to that, all of you know that engineering has a significant venture in Houston. We are exploring the opportunities of taking our industrial technology undergraduate program, perhaps to Houston. Again, that's in the exploratory phase. At the graduate level, we have a successful MBA as it sits, but we are collaborating, we are exploring collaboration with other colleges. For instance, we are collaborating with engineering currently to add a track in engineering leadership to our MBA. I'm meeting with Dr. Ledlow tomorrow to see how we can collaborate and perhaps add tracks or create new degrees that are innovative, in demand, take advantage of opportunities. What we also have realized that the MBA has increasingly become a commodity item and that the future lies, especially at the graduate level, in creating specialized degrees, Masters of Science degrees in specialized areas, as well as in doctoral degrees. The UT system, I know President Calhoun went to the UT system a few months ago and supported them supporting a Masters of Science in cybersecurity and data analytics. UT system approved it and it now is moving forward to gain support from the Texas Board of Higher Education. And so we hope that in the fall, we can launch a Masters of Science, an entire online program targeted towards working professionals that want career advancement. We hope we can launch a Masters of Science in cybersecurity and data analytics. And obviously, we're also exploring perhaps collaborating or exclusively adding to our doctoral programs. So that's what we're planning, and that's what we are executing already in our academic areas as we pursue our vision. I've already mentioned entrepreneurial auxiliaries, the Hibbs Institute. We've had very limited capacity within the Hibbs Institute. We've had one economist to do a lot of work. If you only have one economist, if you have only one employee, that limits what you can do. It limits the impact that you can make in the community. So after a conversation with the provost and a VP for finance, we are being very entrepreneurial and we are self-funding within the Souls College of Business. We're self-funding the addition of a second economist. We are, next week, we have narrowed it down to 5 finalists for a second economist position and are currently in the process of interviewing. And so hopefully before too long, we will have a second economist on board of the Hibbs Institute, which will allow us to really expand our operations significantly and benefit the community and smaller communities who perhaps don't have the resources to be able to draw on the resources of Mr. Perryman, who's in Waco. We can't compete with Mr. Perryman. He has an amazing reputation, but we can complement him and we can benefit our smaller communities. As I mentioned, the East Texas Entrepreneurship Center. Currently, we started it off with grant funding. We're exploring additional funding to make it more permanent. As I mentioned also, our SBDC. We're also seeking to become more of a destination for professional development for professionals in this area. To that end, this summer, we will offer a first professional workshop that leads to SHRM, or Society for Human Resource Management certification for professionals. There's nowhere between Dallas and Shreveport where HR professionals can pursue that industry certification. So we want to become the destination of choice in our area. And we'll look for other opportunities, and you see some other areas there as well. Healthcare portfolio, I've already talked about it. Obviously, the medical school is coming. We'll explore collaboration and we'll expand our portfolio of executive programs. So this is our vision statement, and obviously a vision statement, you know, it stands or falls with our stakeholders, right? And our stakeholders are very simple. Our faculty, our staff, alumni, you, our students, and the community. And so we want to make sure, I want to make sure that as a college, that especially with regards to faculty and student, that we honor our commitment to shared governance, that we're fully transparent in all communication in what we do. And I want to make sure that we create a culture, continue to create a culture where everyone feels that they matter, because everybody does matter. In addition, I want increased engagement with the community, with alumni. I want to make sure that you guys feel that you belong as students to UT Tyler, but for Souls College of Business students specifically, obviously for our business students, that they belong to, that they have a sense of belonging to the college, and that they feel engaged. And we want to make sure that in all areas we add value. And again, I'll finish up this conversation by just highlighting some initiatives which are currently taking place this semester. Again, student engagement is extremely important. I want to make sure that you understand that your voice is heard. And so to that end, we continue our Soul Student Forum on February 22nd, which is next week. It's an opportunity for all Souls College of Business students to come here or attend via Zoom as well, and have a conversation of what they like, what they don't like. You know, okay, we're not going to talk about individual classes or individual instructors, but it's an opportunity to have a conversation between students and leadership of the college and have an honest exchange. So I encourage all of you who are in the Souls College of Business, and I see a few faces, to attend and encourage your fellow students to attend and spread the word. Take your cell phones out. Honestly, scan the QR code. What page does that take you to? And it does not only take you to the East Texas Entrepreneurship Center, it takes you also a little more to the business model competition page. Last semester, students competed for the first time ever at UT Tyler in the Big Pitch ID competition. We want to create an ecosystem, as I mentioned before, where students are encouraged to be entrepreneurial. If they have ideas, we want them to have a destination where they can go for advice, where they can test their ideas and see if it's worthy of going to market. So we had a big pitch idea, and now we continue this semester by having a business model competition with prize money. Right? We want to encourage this ecosystem where students really go for it, regardless of major. We're hoping that we can go with 2 student teams, a team of engineering students, another one from arts and sciences, to a national competition either in Rice or in California, and go compete with the big dogs. All right, so these are some student initiatives. Then in addition to that, again, I mentioned it to some already. For the first time ever, we're going to have an alumni event here at Souls College of Business in collaboration with the College of Engineering. Currently, we have about 250 people who already RSVP'd and will attend. We want to make sure we engage alumni. Annual giving, future gifts. The success of that effort is built on a foundation of alumni engagement. Again, we want you to be our champions once you graduate. We want to make sure that any family members and friends that have college-age children, we want you to be our champions and promote us as their destination of choice for their higher education. We want, once you become millionaires, we want you to consider us when you want to give back. We can only ask for those things if we've engaged you, if you're proud of where you come from. And so this is our attempt of doing that. And you can see who's leading the charge on behalf of the Souls College of Business. Ms. Sherry Souls is our chair of the task force that is heading up that event. So the Souls family continues to put their money where their mouth is in coming and supporting you. And then finally, I've committed this semester to go on a meet, greet, listen, and learn tour, to go outside of the Tyler silo, if you will. I've already been to Big Sandy. I've been to Lindale. I have a next event scheduled in Palestine where I'll meet with the Chamber of Commerce. I'll meet with high school students who are interested in the Souls College of Business and UT Tyler, as well as with alumni. And so that's my commitment that's how I see us all together executing our vision and how we've already started moving forward without really much interruption from interim to permanent. Thanks, and I apologize if I took longer than 15 minutes. I didn't time myself.
Do you mind if I let them ask a couple of questions?
Go right ahead. Yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Or up a couple of questions. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask? Hold on.
I just wanted to know, like, what you were doing in
First of all,
Halloween.
we want to meet our Chamber of Commerce members,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we want to know who our stakeholders are. I'm on the board of
Mhm.
directors of our Chamber of Commerce here in Tyler.
Mhm.
And so not only is it important for me to share what we're doing here at UT Tyler and the Souls College of Business and beyond, but it's also important to understand for me what stakeholders, what small businesses are looking for from the Souls College of Business in return. And so establishing that conversation
Mhm.
is a beginning point of working together on many different ideas. For instance, one of the things that we're looking to grow as a community. Every community looks to grow, right? And so when you have companies that are looking at Tyler as a potential destination, I want to make sure that people from the Chamber of Commerce, from the EDC, the Tyler Economic Development Council, as they pursue opportunities to benefit our community, that we're a part of that conversation and that we can help in any way, form, or shape in showing other stakeholders who are looking at us as a potential destination, hey, come to Tyler. You know, we have a great higher education landscape that will provide you with a wonderful workforce. So collaborations like that with chambers, with economic development councils are crucial,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
First, I want to say thank you for actually serving on the Chamber of Commerce. But when I was growing up, my father used to tell us that no matter what position and whatever profession that you choose, you need to know business. So how can we work with our Tyler Independent School District to make sure that our younger children learn business at an early age?
So one of the things that we have done in the college, we teach a course to every college graduate here before they graduate. It's how to build and manage a career. And basically what it consists of, it's training that prepares students to interview. Josh, are you in that class currently? Right? We're not only teaching that course to our students, but we've already reached out to TISD. We've reached out to Brownsboro ISD, to Westwood ISD in Palestine, and they are now bringing students to the Souls College of Business, not only to exposing to what a university degree can do for them, but also to help prepare them for this real world live interaction in a professional setting. So those are some of the things that we are doing, that we're cognizant of, that we need to do.
One of our Souls College of Business senators.
Mhm.
How you doing, Dr.
I'm well.
Zumberge? Awesome. So I wanted to ask you a question. It's more a personal thing. What is your favorite endeavor that you're currently pursuing with the College of Business?
My favorite, I love getting out and meeting and greeting people and listening to people. I'm a salesman by trade. And so it's in my blood. So I love creating new degrees, creating opportunities. But at the end of the day, alumni interaction, what I really get a kick out of, what made me change career paths. And I know it sounds corny every time I share it with somebody. Why is it that you went from business, international sales and marketing? It sounds so wonderful, sounds so sexy. You travel the world and now you're coming to teach? Really? Okay, but you know, what sounds so wonderful, traveling the world, is a grind after 15, 20 years. And really it's chasing the next dollar, which becomes not very meaningful after a while. And I know it sounds corny, but that's why I initially decided to pursue a career change, is to do something more meaningful. And so what's is extremely rewarding, I'm not sure if that answers your phone call, but when I talk to alumni or alumni reach out to me and they ask me how they can give back, or they share with me how the college made a difference, or how faculty XYZ made a difference, or how I made a difference, that makes it all worth it. I mean, ultimately, all of the rest is noise. But when that engagement happens, and when we've literally changed lives as a college and as a university, that's ultimately what matters. That's what I enjoy the most, is those type of engagements. I don't know if that answered your question, quite frankly. Thank you so much.
Sergey, for
Appreciate
being
it.
here. We appreciate it. If y'all give him a round of applause. All right. And next up on our speakers podium, we have the team that's been handling strategic planning, headed up by our Vice President for Strategic Planning and Chief of Staff, Stephanie Fenter.
Thank you, Casey. It's quite complicated to follow the energy that Dr. Swinberg offers up. Whenever I went to school, proud alum of UT Tyler, go Patriots. I was an 8 a.m. student. I showed up, I was here early, and by this time of the day, I was done for. So my energy is not going to be quite as at the high level that his was, so I apologize for that. Also, I didn't come with slides or anything, so I'm just going to be really talking and reading off of some of our working documents. But first, I want to say thanks to KC and to other members and leaders of the SGA group, really to give us an opportunity to come and talk to you about our strategic planning efforts, where we are as a university in developing a new strategic plan, and really to provide this as an opportunity for us to get some more feedback from you all on how our planning efforts are going, and making sure that we've hit the things that matter to you all, our students, because ultimately, if it's not beneficial to our students, it's not beneficial, because that's why we're here. So again, as Casey said, my name's Stephanie Fenter. I'm Chief of Staff and Vice President of Strategic Planning. I know you guys have a packed agenda. I tend to run through things pretty quickly, so I probably won't take up tons of time on your agenda. But like I said, I want to give you a high-level overview of our priorities and the goals that we've developed so far in our plan development process. As you may be aware, it's been a little over a year ago now that we actually merged the two UT institutions that are here in Tyler. So bringing together the University of Texas at Tyler and the UT Health Science Center at Tyler to become now what is the University of Texas at Tyler. We are all now UT Tyler. So after bringing those together, and Dr. Calhoun being appointed as president of the new combined university, it's definitely necessary for us to look back at what our strengths are, what our opportunities are, where we have weaknesses, and figure out where we want to go now as a university. So in order to answer that question, we launch into a new strategic planning process. We officially kicked things off back in July of last year. The process began with the appointment of a strategic planning committee, several discovery interviews that we talked with deans, we talked with students, we talked with faculty, staff, leaders at every level of the organization. We tried to gather as many perspectives and ideas as we possibly can. Hopefully you all remember and participated in a university-wide survey that we fielded to all of our more than 12,000 faculty, staff, and students of the university. Took a long time to read the results and to decipher the feedback that we garnered through those surveys, but the responses that we received back was actually very meaningful and helpful. Under the leadership of that strategic planning committee, like I said, we fielded the survey, gathered top priorities, tried to identify some specific areas of interest, and then using the survey feedback, we then conducted a series of working group discussions that were focused on specific areas: student success, faculty affairs, health affairs, academic affairs. All of those working group sessions helped us to identify over 150 goals for consideration by the committee and by President Calhoun. As I shared in another session this morning, don't worry, I'm not about to read 150 goals for you all. One of the things that we spent a considerable amount of time doing really was taking all of those 150 goals and trying to figure out, okay, for these goals, what are the top priorities? What do these goals tell us that we're really shooting for, that we're really trying to focus on? So what I do want to do is walk through these top 5 priorities and then just hit on a couple of the goals that we think are likely to show up in the final plan as we continue our development process. So priority number 1, enrich the student experience. We aim to establish programs, services, and experiences that promote student engagement. We want to focus on our UT Tyler clubs, our student life, our Greek life, whatever we can do to engage you all, to foster a greater commitment to the school. We aim to develop and enhance our student mentorship and academic advising opportunities in all programs. Having engagement with our city council, I think, is an initial step of what we want to do throughout UT Tyler, not just in the Souls College of Business. So as Dean Swinburg said, some of that effort really just starts with the conversation, making connections with individuals such as the mayor and figuring out how we can leverage some of those existing relationships to enhance your learning opportunities. We aim to achieve and maintain overall student and fan engagement rates. We'll see. Thumbs up something. And then we're committed to growing our student, supporting our growing student body by advancing a culture that cultivates justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Our community is growing and it's a diverse student body. Priority 2, we want to elevate the economic opportunity and social mobility for our students by enhancing the quality, quantity, and delivery of our programs. So first and foremost, we aim to grow. We aim to reach an enrollment of 15,000 students in the next 5 years. Our greatest ability to impact your lives is to provide you with a great education and one that hopefully sets you up to be able to attain a wonderful career after you leave UT Tyler. We will develop innovative programs that promote creativity and flexibility. So offering programs that attract and serve both traditional and non-traditional learners, expanding stackable degree options, certificate options, pre-professional training programs, and enhancing our online course options. And then as Dean Swinburg also alluded to, we also aim to become the destination for students seeking degrees in health professions or careers in health professions. Bringing together the 2 institutions, UT Tyler and the Health Science Center, gives us the opportunity to leverage the strengths of those, but not only those 2 institutions. UT Health East Texas is a major training site and a training location that gives students the ability to learn and train alongside practicing physicians, nurses, and other allied health professionals while you're still getting your education. Priority 3, partner and collaborate in service to our community. So we aim to build a workforce pathway between colleges, schools, students, and employers that lead to internships, mentoring, and careers specifically aiming to increase job placement, making everyone more ready to enter the workforce whenever they graduate with a degree. And then we aim to increase promotion and support for volunteer and service learning opportunities for our students, but also for our faculty and staff. UT Tyler is committed to serving our community, and we want to solidify our commitment to our community in every way that we can. Priority 4, advance excellence in teaching, research, and healthcare. So lots of buzz about the medical school. If there's one thing that the medical school coming to UT Tyler really has done, it's put us on the map, and it has raised the profile in our ability to attract greater talent, to attract the best students. And we know that in order to deliver the best education, we have to provide the best faculty and staff in order to teach our courses. So we really want to take advantage of the current momentum that we have to get the best faculty and staff here. And then finally, priority 5 is ensure sustainability and foster accountability. We aim to make college education more affordable to our students. The last thing we want is for students to graduate with a ton of debt. So increasing avenues for grants and scholarships that can help in that area. And then the fun stuff is, in order to meet our historic growth goals, we know that we have to enhance and we have to build upon our existing educational spaces in our facilities. So we all talk about the medical school. There's going to be a new school of medicine that's built. But then in addition to that, we're going to be renovating and expanding our School of Nursing. We're going to be building a brand new standalone health sciences building. That's going to be a dedicated space for classrooms, laboratories, and research spaces for our science and some of our health-related programs. Student housing. So for the last 2 years, we know we're busting at the seams when it comes to student housing. I think it's 95% occupancy rate back in fall of 2020. And then fall of 2021, we were at a 98% occupancy rate. We cannot accommodate more in student housing without enhancing what our options are for our students. And then another fun one, Dr. Calhoun has plans to build a new track and field facility that will accommodate the growth of our winning D2 athletic programs. And so we're all very excited about that one. He may want to say something a little bit more about that. So in closing, I really want to say thank you for the opportunity to share. I know that one of the questions is always, and I think thanks Landry for participating in some of our development process of coming up with some of these draft goals so far. And I know some of the questions that came out of him was, okay, that sounds great, but how? So the how is some of what we're still trying to figure out. And the how for many of these are what we're going to be coming back to you to say, what will be the most effective way for us to achieve this goal? If these are our goals, if we determine that these are the right goals for the university, we're going to need your help in figuring out how, because so many of these things really are dependent upon the engagement and the involvement of our students. So if I can use this as kind of an open door and a start to the conversation, I want to just welcome you all to give us feedback, give us your thoughts, whether it be maybe after this session so it can be a more lengthy discussion, but we welcome your involvement. We need it in order for this to work. So with that, thank you. And if there's any questions, happy to take some.
Does anyone have any questions for Vice President Finter? Question? Okay, you talked about growing the online course education and things like that. Would that include the summer options and things like that? Because when I look at my degree plan and stuff, I don't have a lot of options for summer courses and stuff.
Yeah, speaking specifically on where we're going to grow the exact offerings and everything, I can't commit to that just because I don't know specifically. But I think the general idea is we know that if there's limitations right now for you finishing your coursework, that those are areas we need to enhance. So at this point, there's not a limit as to we're only focused on regular schedule or the regular semesters. I would say if that's a need, that's something that we will definitely commit to looking at.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
How can we as student government, I know you said you're still working on the how, but like, what's the best way we can help you in attaining the goals that you have?
That's a tricky question. Some of it's going to be pressure testing some of the initiatives that are being considered. None of this is going to happen without investment and resource direction from the university. And so the one thing that we don't want to do is pursue an initiative that isn't going to work or that isn't going to get the intended goal for us. So one of the easiest things, or the first thing that comes to mind, is let us use you as a sounding board for considering whether or not this is the right initiative to pursue. One of the great things about having Casey and Landry involved in the process is for her to come back and say, yeah, that's not what is really going to get you there. That's not the barrier in the eyes of the student. You really should look at it this way. So I think it's becoming, I don't know if we call it shared decision making, shared governance, whatever, but I think it's being a part of the discussion and engaging with us on that. And so it's even if things aren't working, let us know. We're welcome to that feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Through this process, I've been working with Stephanie pretty closely, and I just would commend her and her entire team for being open to feedback like that. There have been a few times where I, from the student perspective, have said, no, I need to put my foot down about this because this is what the students are going to think. And they've been very receptive to that. So going forward, as they continue to, start putting initiatives into place, asking feedback from student government, I'll be long graduated. I'll be celebrating as an alumni, but I would hope that you guys would continue to maintain that open line of communication. It really, I know it's been helpful for me. I hope it's been helpful for y'all as well.
Oh, it's been, very necessary. There have been instances where their points have come up and, we've been going down a path, and have we talked to Casey about whether or not this is really something that students care about? And the response is, yeah, no, they don't care about that. Okay, we need to take a different approach to that.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right.
I think that's it. Just staying engaged.
One last question.
So is there currently a plan in place to put a greater emphasis on like the annual giving office from alumni to increase the capital that the university has to obtain all of these goals? Has that been looked at specifically?
Yes. So one of the things, I actually presented similar information, but kind of a different spin this morning to a group that is called our development board. They help us, in many areas, but one of those things is increasing philanthropic support to the university. Hold it like this. No, that a stronger alumni base and an alumni base that is committed to the growth of the organization or the growth of the university is critical. And so there are very specific targets. In order for a plan to be effective, we have to be able to measure it. And so kind of the nitty gritty or the detail of the plan is truly going to be measurable targets, including what's our target for alumni giving? What's our target for this area of giving, annual giving, plan giving, and what have you. I do want to, before Casey steals the mic from me, I do want to recognize at least one member of the team here, Morgan Kopasinski, analyst in the Office of Planning. And then there's some others behind the scenes, but just again, please come and speak to us. We would love the opportunity to just talk about this more with you all.
All right. President Calhoun.
Stephanie, of course, does a wonderful job. I can't pass up having Mayor Warren here and Councilperson Curtis and Westbrook and McKellar. Between, she mentioned some of the construction projects that we have planned. These are moving along right now. So between the construction of the new medical school and the medical center, the building expansion, remodel and expansion of the nursing school on this campus, the construction of a new science building on this campus. All of those are in the design process right now. Probably combined will represent an investment in this community of somewhere around $325 million on the part of the university. A good portion of that funding is coming from some funds we've been able to draw down from the legislature. Some of it, and this is a benefit of having a local as chairman of the Board of Regents. Some of that money is coming from the University of Texas Board of Regents to get us there. And we will be relying on the generosity, the philanthropic effort here in the community to sort of top things off and finish that. And of course, whatever help we can get from the city, we will always appreciate that. But it's going to really represent a significant investment. There are other things that we need: a track and field facility, and we need student housing. And we are actively seeking partners right now who can help us get those up and going and moving more quickly. So the university, the health operations that are part of us now, all of those are aggressively expanding in this community. And we really do have that goal of 15,000 students. And for the students, you asked, what can you do as a consul? And clearly Stephanie was absolutely right. Give us your honest feedback. You know, I've been told no before, and that doesn't work. And so, you know, we can talk things out. The other thing that I think you can do is going to that priority number one, which is making UT Tyler feel more like a traditional college campus. I went to an urban commuter college, University of Illinois in Chicago. It was very much like UT Tyler now, with a fair number of students living off campus and coming to the campus. That has changed now, and it's a much more traditional university. And we want to move in that direction. And that means getting students excited about our athletics, joining clubs, being involved, getting other students involved in student government. So if you can do that, that'd be great. Work with your colleagues. And then finally, the last thing, and I was asking this of our fraternities and sororities just a couple of weeks ago, really welcome your fellow students. Be nice to your fellow students. You know, I will always have appreciation for professors in my life, and for what they've given me in terms of an education. But I also value, and maybe value a little bit more, the friendships and relationships I made with my fellow college classmates. I will never forget how it felt to be with my other classmates and go through this real challenge of getting a college degree. So to the degree that you can foster as student government, camaraderie amongst all our students here, we'll try to do it as much as we can from the administration, but it's really going to come from you. And of course, the leadership, our student government. You all can do things to drive that. And if there are things that I can do as president that Stephanie can do, or the deans can do, let us know, because we really want to help you foster that UT Tyler spirit here. So thanks. Too long a speech, Casey, but
Thank you. Thank you. Let me move the camera back. Good, centered. Okay. It's not on the agenda, but I would like to offer up an opportunity for Mayor Warren to address the Senate and say hello to you guys. Some members of our city council have been kind enough to join us this evening. So Mayor Warren, if you'd like to come. Here you go.
First of all, I want to say thank you all for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. And we're here kind of in this capacity of this mentor-mentee relationship. And we did this several years ago. And it was such a positive experience to where they followed us and we followed them. And Braylon Seeley was my mentee, and it was just a fabulous experience. I'm glad that we're getting to do that again. I'm not a UT Tyler alum. I went to Texas Tech University, guns up. But I will say, being a part of this college and university, I first joined this university as a member of the auxiliary board for the School of Arts and Science. And when I was on that board, one of the development people came up to me, Whitney King, I can't remember her name, but she came to me and asked me to come speak at a function, which I did. And when I was speaking at this function, I talked about the love that my mom had for UT Tyler and how she gave money to the school and she loved this school and she taught art and she just was a part of this university. And what I said next, Whitney remembered, because what I said was my mama died. And I said, I felt like my mom has passed the baton. And when I said pass the baton, I meant she had been so involved with UT Tyler and she passed the baton to me. Even though I'm not an alum, I became in love with the school. And so she did pass the baton. And the next week, Whitney called me up and she goes, can we have lunch? And I said, sure. And she said, your mom passed you the baton and your mother gave money to the school. So I want to ask for money. And they were in the middle of doing the new music school. And I said, I'm tapped out. I'm doing this stuff at Burkeville Park and doing these other things. And she goes, I can put you on a 5-year plan. Well, there's now, if you go into the music school, there's now a room called the Pat Auger Piano Studio, which is named after my mom. So here I am. I'm sucked into this university, and now I'm on the auxiliary board for the Souls School of Business, and I'm so proud to be a part of that. Now, when Dr. Calhoun and when staff talks about collaboration and relationships, that's what it's all about. And with y'all talking to staff of things you like and things you dislike, they'll listen to you. People like to listen. So reach out to them, tell them what you think. You know, when Dr. Calhoun talks about the new medical school, he's told me a couple of times recently, he said, we need to get together and talk about infrastructure for the new medical school. We, as the city, the mayor, the city council, we're ready to talk. We're ready to do what we can do to make it work within reason. But anyway, it always, but I do want to just say, thank you for allowing us to be here and to be a part of tonight. And I'm proud of you. Just go after it, dream big, go capture your dreams, and life's good. Even when you get to my age, it gets even better. So thank y'all.
Okay. Moving down the agenda, next up is officer reports. So I will go first. I've had a lot of meetings recently. What's new? I always have meetings, but in particular, last week, I had a very interesting conversation with the provost about course modalities and some lessons we've learned through COVID about the benefit of some high flux model courses. So that'll be a discussion we continue to have. You may see that I put it on new business. I think I actually will hold that off until next week when we have Dr. Swain, because she's the associate provost and over online and undergraduate education. So that was really beneficial conversation to the point where I think we're going to have standing meetings going forward. We learned a lot from each other and opened that line of communication, as we've talked about so many times this evening. So that's sort of the biggest thing I've been working on. Vice President Smith.
So this past week, I met on the Handbook of Operating Procedures Committee. And on top of that, this Saturday, we did our first community service event of, I believe, the whole year so far, correct? And so that's definitely something I want to like keep re-implementing. So if y'all have ideas, different organizations that we can partner with for that, that would be great. I do think as student government, we should kind of be like the premier organization for service, especially in the community. So I am looking to doing another event, hopefully with Path Housing, and then any other sort of organization that might be interested in partnering with us. On top of that, I'm already looking towards midnight breakfast, since that's sort of our premier event for the whole semester. And I sent out, or we're drafting right now, an email to send out to student orgs to, so that they can come and table for midnight breakfast and be able to kind of, like they did last year, and share their wealth of activities with the rest of the student body. So
For those of you who don't know, midnight breakfast we do every semester, 10 p.m. to midnight, all you can eat pancakes, music. Last semester we allowed constituents to pie the executive board in the face if they completed a survey providing feedback. So it's a good time. Yeah, we volunteered our city representatives to be fine. No, I'm just kidding. Secretary Mattern.
Did we ever mention that like we're done with SAC? I don't remember us saying
We're
it.
not really done.
I mean, we'll meet
So-
in May, but this past week, Robert sent me all the information for the elections, and I'll be getting that up tomorrow. The post and the minutes. And and I went to the community service event, and Landry let me go home early because it was snowing.
Yeah, we'll get, as you mentioned, we'll get the election information out on social media and on the website, including we'll get the sign up out shortly for the ballot.
So
It's fine. Go ahead.
so last week I met with the QEP student steering committee, and so we'll start getting that stuff rolled out and getting ready for early March for the people coming in for the QEP. And later on this week, I'll be meeting with the director of housing to look at getting the residence hall associations off the ground next year. So big
Fantastic.
thing.
Treasurer Lambert, sorry I skipped you.
Okay. I met with Joshua last week, went over the budget, and we update the budget a little bit. So budget is okay. Everything's going great. I think I brought this up before. I know we have a new committee called the Environmental Committee. Is that correct?
We've had that committee.
Okay. So
Yeah.
It's not
I
a
would-
budget for, do they spend money, or how's their committee organized?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, then everything is up to date so far as far as the budget.
Thank you very much. Moving on to committee reports. Who's going to? Okay, fantastic.
Do I stand for this
Sure. Face the camera. Events committee.
For events committee, we didn't meet this week, but from my understanding, we have been previously going over midnight breakfast a lot. I believe Landry has been also in the talks about having a virtual event, where we get together over like Discord or maybe even Zoom to have Jackbox, have a good time with each other. Is there anything else really? I think that's all. Oh, more path events. Hopefully that was super cool. I wasn't able to make it, but I'm super excited to do the next one. Yeah, volunteering events are super fun.
If anyone got any photos from the Path House painting event. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Communications.
Okay, so this week it was just Ashlyn and I, since Dawn was hosting an event with student engagement. We are getting post ready for the yoga event coming up in, what is that, April? I think April. Yeah, and then the tailgate, which is, yeah, so we are getting ready to post about the tailgate, and then we are going to post elections on the website or on Wednesday. Since we have pictures from Path event on Saturday, that's taken care of, and I think that's everything.
Awesome.
Hold off on the tailgate right now, just because we're looking towards maybe moving that towards like baseball.
Who's reporting for SGAC? Board. Board, who's reporting for SGAC?
Louis. Well, I really didn't direct anybody. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, Howard. If you want, I can take over. We approved last week 3 different organizations. I'm pulling up the funds that were approved as we speak. Last week we approved Mr. Gavin Clark for the Patriot Trumpet Guild. They had a requested amount of $291.88. I believe we approved them for a little more than that. Was that right, Board?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Then from there, we had Mr. Bryson Power approved. They were requesting a total amount of $300. And from then on, we had Ms. Claudia Barriga. She was approved for a total of $250.
Okay. Thank you so much, Luis.
Thank you.
Rules Committee?
So Rules Committee met last night. We had a lot of great stuff that we spoke about. We had 3 different items that we talked about. The first was investigating on the specifics on like GPA breakdown of the Senate, the Executive Board, and the Judicial Board to determine if there's some modifications that need to happen on that front. The next was we were specifically looking at the interactions between the Executive Board and the Senate, in particular with meetings and then specific legislative items. And then the last item was investigating possibly a few changes that could go into the breakdown of the Senate to make sure that we better represent our student body in the next 5, 10, 15, possibly even 20 years out. So making sure that the student body is represented well and on par with the rest of the UT system.
Great. And then last but not least, our Environmental Sustainability Committee.
So we decided that our first meeting is going to be this Thursday. So we'll go to that, pull some ideas together. And we're look you up.
Macy, will you send in the group me what time y'all have decided to meet? Okay, thank you. All right. Moving on to student voice reports, we have the College of Education and Psychology.
All right. I was talking with Justin, and he had sat down with the dean of the College of Education and Psychology to a lot of students having some complaints due to SONA with the lack of things you could do for credits and the requirement for credits into it. And from what I've heard from a lot of the students it was not as bad of an issue anymore. And while I was in my parenting or psychology of parenting class, a lot of students had the inability to get the textbook at the moment, which our professor said was required. And we found a situation around that, and a lot of us are working together textbook wise.
Great. We love to hear about collaboration.
Following up on what Brennan had first brought up, recently I just got an email, I think it was yesterday, from Dr. Hayes, the chair of the psychology department. She had just followed up on like the results of the meeting and talking about possibly producing more research studies for students to have available to them. And she said that it's been a work in progress and that they're trying to increase the amount of studies available so way students can meet the required amount of hours that they need for certain classes.
Yeah, that's great. And Brennan, on your point about the textbooks, that's another thing that Dr. Swain and I have been in communication about, the availability, the cost, etc. So I would definitely recommend that you bring that up next week when she's here. And then Kina?
Okay, so I actually, we made a group chat for the psychology and education senators, just so I could kind of talk with them because I'm new here. So I actually, we've been in person this week, which is nice to finally be that way again. But I ended up talking with them, and they've had issues in the past where the psychology professors make attendance mandatory, whether that be due to actually showing up in person or doing daily assignments. And we are still in a pandemic with COVID and everything. And so students might take that risk of showing up to class sick. And there's also another student that's in one of my classes personally that's having trouble with walking. They're starting to lose ability to use their legs and travel to class. And the student, our instructor has not made accommodations to her. So I've been just FaceTiming her on my phone during that class and writing down her answers for the daily assignments, which I just think, considering her situation, that should be something that should be like accepted.
Okay, so 2 thoughts on that. On the point about absence policies, that's actually a conversation that I had with Dr. Moran this past week. He's the provost, and we were talking about doing a comprehensive review of the Handbook of Operating Procedures to make sure that our recommendations for absence policies are up to date with that. So we might bring that up next week in the discussion about course modality and things like that. And for the student that's having difficulty getting to class, have they contacted the Student Accessibility and Resources Office?
They do not live in campus. They live in Lubbock. So they drive from Lubbock to Tyler, and then they would have to walk. So they said that they were going to start talking with the dean of students. I asked her to send me the transcripts of the messages between her and the instructor, just so I could get a look at it and just see their responses. I'll remind her about that today, maybe show them to you if there's an issue where you're more concerned about it.
So the dean of students, Andy Petit, will direct the student to the right place, but the SAR office is available by phone and email, and they would gladly take the student through the process to make sure they're getting the accommodations that they need. We don't ever want to have a student in a situation like that.
Okay, I'll write this down and I'll look into it, and then I'll forward her that information. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, and I would be glad to assist in any way I can. Okay. College of Pharmacy, Macy.
Okay, so not too much going on. We are back in person. We are having one event, the Society of Infectious Diseases Pharmacists. They're hosting an online event February 23rd. And they're just celebrating the contributions of infectious diseases pharmacists and other allied health care members. So if you're interested in attending that, I can send the Zoom link.
Fantastic. Okay, and then student body at large. There are quite a few of you, so whatever order you'd like to go.
Let's go. I was talking to some students and I've heard some concerns about the housing portal and one of the options that's been taken away, which is the ability to reserve the assignment. And some of the students were confused as to why that was taken away, and they wanted to know more about it. So.
Okay, I wrote that down. I'll look into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know they're going through a revamp of that process. So
one of the things is feminine hygiene products. That seems to be a big thing this semester, where a lot of the bathrooms seem to be lacking and being refilled. And also coordinating with SVA, they've talked to me about wanting to work with SGA on an event or something of the sort.
yeah, he's on it.
Right?
Okay, who's next? Bryce?
So I really have 2 things this week. The first one is raising more awareness for like career success opportunities outside of the College of Business. I know recently Joshua and I have attended a career fair. I think it was it Tuesday? Last Tuesday. And obviously there are a lot of companies looking for things like accounting majors, management majors, marketing majors, but there was a school district there looking for teachers. There was an architecture company looking for like engineering students, and it's hard to find that when the majority of the people there are just business majors. So I don't know if there's something that we could do, like talking to career success about putting those opportunities out there. I think this Valerie, nursing has like their own job fair. So like nursing does a good job, but like outside of that, I think we could raise more awareness.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is some safety concerns at Liberty Landing. I know if you live at Liberty, there's probably a good chance someone's tailgated you coming into the apartment complex. And I know that, especially for like my female friends, though, they get scared when that happens. But I think recently they have installed a camera right at the gate, so hopefully that improves on some of that. And then the other thing is recently over the past 2 weeks, there have been like 2 or 3, I guess I can call them altercations amongst students at night that the police have shown up. And I actually watched it from my balcony. They did like 1 lap. They were out there. The group was still out there. Didn't see them, just got back in their car and left. So it was kind of concerning to see up was the installation of cameras, and not just like cameras for show, but cameras that someone will actually go in and review the footage and when stuff like that happens. So those are the 2 things that I have.
Awesome. Josh?
So yeah, so I have a couple of things today. I just want to start off by, because I as someone who's served in the presidential role for a couple of years in the past, it's awesome to see the city council here. So thank you so much to you all and the university leadership, and personally my professor who picked on me a little bit earlier. I'm so sorry about that. And a great leader for the College of Business. So I just want to start off with a couple of things. Alumni engagement is something I talked about with Dr. Swinberge just actually last week. So it's very ironic that we talked about it a lot. I think that's very important as someone who's a future alumni and just sadly 8 weeks. Not very excited about that, but I am excited about what it means for me and my university. I think that's something that I'd like to see as a student kind of enhance upon. I was just thinking of sitting here talking about it and thinking about it. It'd be cool to start an SGA alumni association, very similar to one that I'm a part of, as a Bill Archer Fellowship that I've attended in the past. But having that structure allows for a network for students that are in this position. You could expand upon this mentorship that I think works very well. Outside of the executive board, you could have mentors for the senators as they sit in the student government. You would provide, leadership for them. You provide resources for them, and then expanding that program into what that would look like for students in any college in the future. I think that's very important. I'm going to be speaking with the director for alumni engagement, Francine Durr, within the next couple of weeks, something I talked to Dr. Swinberg about. Second, and equally as important, I think, in the vein of career success, something I enjoy doing is LinkedIn Learning. It was something that was offered to me recently from another program, and I think that's another thing that would help the career success office. It's kind of your own pace. It allows you to LinkedIn. Sorry, no pun intended. It allows you to link the certificates you earn into your LinkedIn profile. That's very valuable for business students, but I think something that's not really considered is how valuable that is for other students who are looking. Perhaps I'm a nursing student who's also interested in IT, SQL, and stuff like that. That's never should be overlooked. I think that's very important. So those are 2 things I saw, and again, the Liberty Landing thing with people tailgating you, it's pretty scary. So that's my 3 things.
Yeah.
So I often recycle, and I've noticed the recycling bin right outside of the business, kind of by the parking lot area, is rarely ever even halfway full. So I think if we sent out another email just informing all students about it, and kind of like, or I know a lot of students have an issue with the location. So if we entertained an idea to maybe like move one of the locations, I think that would probably make the recycling more productive.
So I'm not student body at large, but the handicap little buttons over there in the entrance of the STE in front of the Ryder Bell Tower, those aren't working.
Does anyone have anything for old business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. I'd like to entertain a motion to open a discussion on a wellness initiative. Okay, motion by Jacqueline and seconded by Don. So this is a project I've been working on. It's a project I've been working on with a variety of stakeholders around the university, including the Dean of Students Office, the Faculty Senate President, the Staff Senate President, members of our counseling center, etc. basically we are trying to open a discussion on what wellness initiatives already exist on campus, how we can better collaborate, and have them moving in the same direction, basically take advantage of the resources that already exist. So this is a conversation that is going to be happening, I would imagine, until the end of time. But we have started the collaborative effort, and we'll have a meeting on March 2nd with a pretty extensive group of people focused on student wellness. So there are two things that you guys can do for me in that regard. Number one would be, if this is a passion of yours, you are welcome to participate in this process. In fact, I would encourage it. So definitely let me know. And the second thing would be, I kind of am interested in what student wellness means to you all. Because from my perspective, I've been advocating for food security for students and things like that, that take care of baseline needs before we get to the part about togetherness and things like that. So there's a variety of focuses that we can take under the topic of wellness. And so I kind of wanted to just open the floor and see what that means to you all, if that makes sense. We'll just take a couple of minutes. It doesn't have to be a long discussion. Where's the other microphone? Yeah, make sure it's on.
I think it is. For me, when I think
It should have orange numbers. Yeah, try it.
hello?
You're good. Yeah, that's one thing we've talked about. And we actually were talking about, I don't know, this is another question. We were talking about mental health first aid training. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Okay, basically it's a training that we could take as students to be better prepared to handle situations where one of our peers might be having a mental health crisis. To just how to immediately respond to get them into a safe situation and make sure they get the care they need. That's a training that exists, and I personally am interested in taking it. Do you think that there would be student interest in that? I'm seeing some head nods. I know that's an increasing occurrence that we have students with mental health crises. And so this is something that I've really been advocating for, as well as Taylor and the counseling center, that along with peer mentoring sort of opportunities, encouraging relationships like that, similar to the pep coaches, things like that. Yeah, you guys think that would be helpful? Okay. So food insecurity, mental health, what else?
So I'm a level 1 nursing student, and it's week 6 right now, and they came in, one of the professors came in our lecture this morning and told us that if plants need water and sunlight, so do we. So they were like, just don't forget to go outside and eat. And I just think that wellness for nursing students, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is the physiological needs as a person to eat and sleep, because these past couple weeks I've gotten probably average about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, just because it's hard and I'm not used to it. Other students aren't used to it. And we were just so not prepared to come into nursing school, but that's not a new thing. That's every nursing student. And I think just like wellness as a nursing student, having time to eat, having time to sleep, and having time to socialize. I don't go out anymore. So just that.
Actually, to work off that would be like a stress release. And I think something along the lines of having outlets like yoga has been known to help with mental and stress release and everything like that. So maybe just having some way to lead students to an outlet that might help them socializing or different things just to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, again, to kind of play off, I think of campus, and that's the hiking and biking trails. I know I go out and hike not out there, but in other areas. But I think that's something that SGA could possibly look at as a wellness opportunity would be get outside, get out there into the hiking and biking trails, increase the amount of student use of that property. That way, if need be, it doesn't get taken out to put a housing complex in. We just accumulate other areas around us.
Events committee. Anyone else? Awesome. That's a very helpful discussion. Like I said, if you're interested in participating, it's going to be a lunch sort of event on March 2nd. Definitely let me know. We'd love to have more student representation. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. Okay. All right. Like I said, we're going to skip the course modality discussion for tonight and move on to midnight breakfast. I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss midnight breakfast. Okay. Thank you. All right. So Landry, I had to step out, but I did just want to briefly tell you guys about midnight breakfast for this semester. Obviously, you guys know from last semester, it's I hesitate to say ordeal because that has a negative connotation, but it's a large undertaking. We'll go with that. It's a large undertaking. So I want you guys to just be mentally and emotionally prepared for Midnight Breakfast Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. We're going to invite faculty, staff, administration to attend. We're going to have more tables available for student organizations to host activities. It's going to be awesome. But that means you have about a month to get yourself ready to go, energized. We're doing a new t-shirt design for this year, hopefully. It's pretty cool. Not going to spoil it. But the biggest thing you can do to help at this point is to encourage student organizations to get involved in it. We really would like to see that whole second floor covered in different activities. You know, last semester we had face painting and Uno and ladder ball, all sorts of stuff. We want that to be even bigger, even better this semester. And so it's going to be March 23rd. If you guys want to make note of that, that's the Wednesday of homecoming. And it'll be 10 p.m. to midnight as always. So any questions about midnight breakfast? Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to close discussion on that topic. Okay. Anything to add to new business? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to advisor comments. Where is the other mic? Okay, they're both down here, so. You do. They get out of range.
Yeah, making me snap. All right, so a few things. On the health and wellness initiative, I think that is a great opportunity, and it's great to see student government be involved in that. I do want to encourage y'all to work with HPC in the rec facility because y'all that is something they strive for, and they do put on a lot of activity, both virtual and in-person events. So I do want to encourage that. Someone mentioned recycling. And getting the message out, I think, is a good idea. The executive board has the ability to send out a student-wide email. And so I think, work with the e-board on getting a message out. For the PD concerns, please reach out to Chief Metters. And I think that is something that that's good feedback. And that's something that he'd be more than happy to address with his team because that is something that he cares about deeply. And he will get that corrected to make sure that that doesn't happen again. For the individual housing concerns, we have an interim director. I know he's met with the executive board, Matt Kraus. He is rocking and rolling, and he is fantastic to work with. And so they are making some changes to the housing application process. As you heard earlier about our strategic plan, we're growing and we're growing fast. And so to accommodate our income and who is the assistant director of housing. For the career success, every college still has a career success coach. And we want to encourage our students to take advantage of meeting with your coach. I always share, don't wait till you're 8 weeks before you graduate to meet with your coach. It's more than just a career fair. It's, resume writing, interview skills, etiquette lunches. There's a lot more aspects to becoming career ready. And so we want to, but if you've got ideas or thoughts that you want to share that you would like to see within the colleges, definitely touch base with your career coach and see how they can help you, and you can work with them to even potentially host an event that other students might be interested in. And also Dr. Rosemary Cooper, who's our executive director of career success, she'd be happy to also assist in that process. For the comment on the feminine products, Dr. Andy Kraus. We are one of the few UT schools that provides that service to all of our students. And so that is pretty cool. That is something that student government several years ago took the lead on and made that happen. And so he is passionate about making sure that that service is fulfilled. And also our Patriot Pantry. Both our pantry has products as well. But sometimes you may not want to walk across campus to the pantry to pick something up. And so definitely make sure that if there's issues, if you see it, report it. And so that way it can get quickly addressed. On the SAR, I think Casey was spot on. Many of our offices, we support all of our campuses, whether you're here in Tyler, you're in Houston, Longview, Palestine, or you're strictly online. SAR is more than happy to look into that and work with the faculty member if there are accommodation concerns. And that's not just SAR, but any of our student success offices, same thing. We service all of our students. I'm excited about the strategic plan. I hear student engagement, and our department in student engagement, we are committed to that, but it takes a community, an entire community. And to see that on the horizon, that makes me excited because I am a big believer that learning takes place not only inside the classroom, but outside the classroom. And it's important for y'all to be involved. And there's a lot of perks to being involved. And then the atmosphere changes. If we start showing up to athletic games, I do believe in the 12th man a little bit, that you can change that momentum if you have a home field advantage. And so I want our students to start showing up and being loud and proud on that. Also want to thank Dean Swinberg. He has been a fantastic dean to work with as well. So it's great to hear what the college has on the horizon. I do want to encourage our Souls senators. I can't force you to show up to things, but I would strongly encourage you to show up for that student forum because that is your opportunity to also introduce yourself as a representative of student government and to also hear the concerns, because that is what you're supposed to be doing here. And so that is a great way it's a good pipeline to bring back those concerns and to address those. And then I want to thank the city council for being here. It has been several years since we've been able to do this. I know our first group who did this a couple of years ago, they loved it. And so I'm excited to see our current officers and those who are participating with your mentorship and leadership to see them grow just from that guidance. So thank y'all for being here. I know it's a lengthy meeting, but it's so cool to see y'all here. And I'm excited for our students. And so that's all I have. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Okay. For announcements, all I have is Senator of the Week, which we can finally do a drum roll since we're in person. So if y'all want to give me a drum roll. Bryce. Way to go. That was a stellar student voice report. We're glad to have you representing the student body at large. Way to go. All right. So next week will be the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Business. So make sure that y'all are ready to go for that. And does anyone else have any announcements? Anything going on this weekend on? Bingo tomorrow, noon to 1. Awesome. 12 to noon. Great. Chloe? Oh, okay. So Chloe said that the what is it called? Student Athlete Advisory Committee will be shown the logo. So we'll get good feedback from that. Awesome. In that case, Josh? Oh my gosh, I can't remember all this. Swoop, swoop. Treasurer, yeah. Okay, so recap of that. There is an event on Friday at Times Square Cinema to watch the movie Marshall as part of our Black History Month events. You get a free ticket, free popcorn, and free drink if you RSVP through Engage. Next week, there's a headphone disco with an educational twist. Details also on Engage. And on Saturday is family weekend, whodunit dinner, lots of service opportunities and a cool brunch. So definitely if you're signed up for that, I'll see you there. Everybody good? Did I do okay recapping that? Awesome. In that case, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, so that was carried by Senator Govea and seconded by literally everyone. All in favor, raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, do a heart emoji or raise your hand. And any abstentions. Thank you guys. See you next week.